Today we're playing Charcuterie from Third World Studios, a game where we're going to select stacks of snacks. I like it. It's not what I meant to say. Good morning, welcome to Board Game Barrister, our local game shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm Andy, and I'm here with Glenn and Gordon, and today we're talking Charcuterie from Third World Studios, a delightful little game where we get to choose stacks of charcuterie snack items, put them on our plates, and try to arrange them as attractively as possible for points. Let's get into it. Welcome to Charcuterie, where you're going to be arranging snack items on your own personal charcuterie board, trying to make the best, most attractive, and highest scoring board by the end of the game. To start us off, we're going to put all of those charcuterie tiles in this nice bag here off to the side. We're going to get ourselves 6 scoring cards, and these are going to tell us how we score points at the end of the game, and we'll go through those in a second here. Each player is going to take their own charcuterie board out in front of them, totally empty to start the game. And then we've got our cutting board, which doubles as a scoring track for the end of the game, but for the time being, that's where all of our stacks of snacks are going to go. These were the scoring cards we used, but there are a bunch more you can choose from, either randomly or by choosing sets of them that look like fun games to you, but let's go through these quick. We're going to select one scoring card for each different food group, so this is my bread here for instance. And our bread scoring condition was for each bread of the same shape, you score a certain number of points. So for instance, there are circular bread tiles, so if I had 4 circular bread tiles, I would score 5 points off of that. Cheese scores you points if you have matching cheese, and that's going to be a match all the way down to the arch, so the exact same type of cheese. And these matching cheeses have to be in a group with each other, which means they all have to be touching or overlapping each other. For our dips, we have each unique dip type on your board, scores you different points, but you don't want to collect just one because that's worth negative points. Our meats is all about making little sandwiches. For each group of only a meat, a cheese, and a bread, you score 10 points. The veggies creates a little competition between our boards. For each neighboring player who has fewer veggies than you score 7 points. And last, for each matching pair of fruits, you score 7 points. Pairs don't have to be touching or overlapping in any way, they just have to exist somewhere on your board. Alright, so those are our public scoring objectives, but you're also going to have exactly one secret scoring objective that will get you some extra points if you can pull it off. Each player is going to get 2 of those secret objectives. They're going to choose one they want to keep and try to score at the end of the game, and then discard the other. Alright, let's get into the meat of the game. No pun intended. During each turn in this game, one player will be the host. They're going to put stacks of charcuterie items out on our cutting board here, and then each player is going to get a chance to choose one of those stacks. So in our 3-player game, we were creating 3 stacks. This is in the rulebook as well, but you can see on the cutting board there's a little reference for how many tiles total you'll need to draw out of the bag. In our case, it was 3 stacks of 4, so we need to draw 12 tiles. Our host is going to take a minute to think about where they want these stacks arranged. We don't want to give players too many matching breads, we know that. There's that whole thing about matching fruits, so let's make sure nobody gets a pair of matching fruits right out of the gate. Things like this. And in the course of thinking about all these things, they'll be able to arrange all of these into neat stacks, and then they'll declare that they're ready for players to choose from them. So the choosing starts with the player to the host's left, and then it'll go all the way around the table and eventually back to the host. And that's why the host wants to make sure that all of these stacks are at least a little bit good, because they're going to be left with the one that nobody else wanted at the end of the round. The player on their left is going to choose a stack, then the next player in a 3-player game, and the host is going to take the stack that's left. And taking a stack of food means you're just going to put those out onto your plate. This is a game where you don't have to commit to the placement of anything you choose at any point in the game until the very end when you're ready for scoring. So for the time being, I'm just going to lay these out here, but I can, anytime I want to, start putting these into groups that overlap a little bit or that might start to satisfy my scoring conditions. Once everybody's made their choices, we're right on to the next host, who's going to choose 12 more tiles, put them in 3 stacks, and then carry on from there. With games of 2, 3, or 4 players, everybody's going to be the host twice, so we'll go around the table 2 times, and that's what triggers the end of the game. With 5 or 6 players, everybody will be the host exactly once. So in our 3-player game, once we'd gone around the table twice, that's a total of 6 turns. Our charcuterie boards looked a little bit more like this, pretty full up with lots of different variety of foods. Then we're going to take a moment to rearrange, make sure we like the arrangement of those foods, make sure it all looks very nice out there, nothing's touching that we don't want touching, and that nothing overhangs the edge of the plate. Then we're going to declare our charcuterie boards done. We're going to go through each of those scoring mechanics and score up points for each of those using our score track on the back here. We'll see who managed to pull off their hidden objectives, and they could score some points for that, and then we're going to see who has the most points. They're our winner. Alright, so let's cover time to play and number of players, and this is actually really exciting for this one. It's not usually a moment of excitement. This is an informative moment, but I'm actively excited about how they pulled this one off. It's 2 to 6 players, and the number of players you have is going to determine how many charcuterie stacks go out on the cheese board, how tall those stacks are, and then kind of the selection process and how many rounds around the table we're going to do. You're never going so that there's more than something like 6 or 8 server turns total, so this is like a 20-minute game. It's awesome.
And to that point, so I played for my first time at 3 players, and it has it's both short, but it has an arc to it, right? It begins with just, let me try some things, and then you start to come up with a plan, and then you're at that final race at the finish of, okay, how much of my plan can I execute? And that felt really good to be able to go through that whole, rising action, falling action, struggle at the end, so quickly and so enjoyably,
Well, and weirdly, I have that sense of like, man, I was kind of just getting in the rhythm. I really want to keep going. This game actively pushes against that by giving you the limited space on your plate. So by the end, you're like, please let it stop because my plate's full. I'm ready to organize this, right? So it feels like the exact perfect time to end it as well.
And that got into something that I really enjoyed about this game, which is the physical manipulation at the end. It's really fun, I think, to get these oddly shaped tiles and figure out how to fit them on the board. Sometimes you want them touching, sometimes you want them not touching. You always want them to stay on the board. And you get to just kind of rearrange them at the end and come up with something that kind of fits. You might also want it to be beautiful. I just wanted it to fit.
What kind of establishment is this? Let's have a little pride in our charcuterie board. Okay.
Clearly,
shall we?
Have you seen this? There's no
do
pride.
One of the little chef napkin cleanups around the edges. Get the sauce. Okay.
I also like the fact that there's your little picture of something. So this was as we looked in the rule book, these are dates, but it also shows you on the back what group it belongs to, because sometimes it might confuse you a little bit as where does this one belong? Like the tomato, which some people will argue, well, tomato's a fruit, but in this game, it shows on the back, it's a veggie. So you know which group it belongs to, because that's important to know what groups you're playing with.
The rules tell you that for your first time playing, play with the base goals, so there's 1 for each food type. And we started looking at that and like, these are really easy. So if you are new to this type of game, this is going to be totally accessible. You're going to get these starter goals. They're going to be fun. They're going to give you thinking in different directions, and it's going to guide you right into it. And if you're already playing games of this type, don't feel bad about just shuffling all the goal cards up and putting them out there. You'll get them. They give you lots of variety of the types of things that you're working towards. And I think consistent with the chill theme of this game, it's going to lock into place, and you're going to have a great time with it.
And then you get your little secret scoring cards as well, which everyone's going to have one of these. And I always like when they give you the option where you get 2 at the start and you get to pick one, because you might look at what you want to do this game or what you think you can do, and having that choice is nice, as opposed to here's one that you're going to have to do, and oh yeah, everything relies upon you getting bread, and this one penalizes you for having bread. It's like, so it's nice having that choice that you can pick as well.
Well, and the thing that kind of originally drew me to this game was like the food tokens are gorgeous. They actually look like little pieces of food, and they're just a really nice solid cardboard feel to them. They look great, but it was these little player boards that got me. There's nothing on this. It's just wood grain, and that is a legitimate component of the game that matters, because you have to stay within the board. If you're playing with 6 players, you have to stay within the inner ring and keep everything on your plate neatly. So the boards you build look amazing by the end. It's not just some gray piece of cardboard you're putting all your stuff on. They went above and beyond to be like, we want this to be a actual experience as you're playing, and you're gonna feel hungry by the end.
I want to do a home rule where after you've built your little charcuterie board, we actually have the foods to match, then you have to eat the charcuterie board that you made.
All right, I think that does it for Charcuterie. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a really good time with it, and we hope you had fun watching. As always, hit that like button, leave us a comment. We love getting back to those. Subscribe if you want to see our new videos every week when we post those. And check out our online store where you will find Charcuterie and a ton of other cool stuff. For the time being, we are off for this week, and we'll see you next time.